There is no set instructor for this course other than myself, Fergus DeBotha, who's the guy who basically kicked this thing together, and my one of my right arms in the situation, Otter Surtson,
Hello, everybody.
Surter's son. There we go,
Surtson, like the
Surtson.
fire giant that started Ragnarok.
Okay, okay. And he's going to be helping me out. We've got one more person that should be coming in here pretty soon. But basically, this talk was supposed to be how to talk to strangers, but instead, it's going to be how to form a successful college group. So if you wanted to learn to talk to strangers, this is not the place to be. But anyway, we're pretty much shadowing, so we all pretty much know how to talk to strangers anyway. All right, we got to start off by determining what a college group is. A college group is, by definition, a group of Scadian related people who occupy a college or a university. They're part of it. My experience is about 24 years with the College of St. Felix, which I helped found in the year 2000. So we're going on 24 years on that right there, and it's been going on. And I'll tell you how I got that started and going. Otter has been working for universities off and on for many years, and well, I'll let you talk about your qualifications in this regard.
So, I've been in the SCA for roughly 25 years. Predominantly, most of my career was spent as a contractor for a company where I worked at several different college campuses through the last 20 years or so. I've seen many different types of college groups and helped start a few of them. Some of them have maintained, some have not, but the nice thing is, having been a contractor, I've been able to learn things from the university side because there's always things that you have to do to get things approved by a university, but also the student side, trying to get a group like that going and then supporting them while not being directly attached to a university.
Okay. A college group, by definition, and I'm pretty sure Otto will agree with me on this one right here, is that a college has a split personality. An active college group has to have a split personality. On the one side, you've got the SCA aspect where everybody's huzzah the king and queen, long live the king, and doing their thing in the SCA as best they can. On the other side, you've got the university itself, who has its own rules and own insurance and all the things that need to be seen to for the group to survive. Now, the problem is sometimes those two don't mesh, and to be able to continue or perpetrate or perpetrate, no, able to proliferate, that's the word I'm looking for, proliferate the college itself, you have to go and pick the lesser of the two evils, which in this case is going to be the university proper itself because they have the rules and guidelines. So, what do you do to start a group? First thing you do is find the student club handbook on for the campus and read that thing and read that thing and learn it back and front, forward and back. You got to learn it back and forth. That way, wait a second. Ladies and gentlemen, Mistress Beatrice, who's our third presenter here. Hi, Beatrice. She's still probably adjusting something. She's been very busy working on getting all the stuff together. Hello, Beatrice.
Hello.
Um, Here's what we covered so far. Basically, defined what a college group is, gave our bona fides, is what why we're able to talk about this situation, and I think we'll just pick it up there.
All
So,
right.
and I pass the buck to you.
All right. Hello, all. I am Beatrice Domenici della Campana. For the last 8 years or so, I have been the de facto college advisor for the group at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. I started out as a member of the staff at that university. I have since moved to a staff position at another university in town, specifically Marquette University. So the official advisor position for that university group has moved on to one of my former colleagues at UW Milwaukee. But as the local Scadian who is most involved the with the college group, I am the de facto advisor for the college group, since I am the person who is most likely to be at the student group meetings. I am the person who is most likely to be answering their questions, helping them make their first garb, being the liaison between our barony and our college group. And so a lot of our newest membership has come from that college group within the last 8 years or so. Oh goodness, I guess we're at 9 now. Years get away from me. So yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah. Well, I'm the advisor emeritus of the College of St. Felix, and that's because after 13 years, I had just we basically said, look, I can advise you, but you're a college student. College is made up of young adults who think they know what's best for them. Okay, as with everybody does. Okay, when they're of a certain age, and it said you can lead a horse to water, but I found instead the best thing to do is, okay, you're heading toward a cliff. You're heading toward a cliff. You're getting close to the edge. Okay, now you're at the edge of the cliff. You're about to fall. Okay, you're falling now. This is what you do. And let them come to the decision. You can tell them, you can do this. These are the consequences. And see if they can do that gain and loss measurement of whether or not it's best for them or not. But the College of St. Felix, which is the University of Arizona, has been going on for 24 years now, or will be in January 1st, because that's when we got together. It was January 1st, 2000. And going from there, and I was explaining how a college group has a split personality in that it's SCA on one side and then the university on the other. And do you concur with this, Beatrice?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
We set ours up so that it was effectively a household. So we didn't do the college of structure within the SCA.
Mm-hmm.
Just for the sake of not dealing with the extra bureaucracy, the extra officer roles. We were operating sort of on a shoestring in terms of dealing with having enough people to keep things going, and adding an extra layer of the bureaucracy didn't make sense for our particular group. And so ours is not a college of SCA group. We are a sort of guilds and groups group within the barony. And so we exist as a student group within the university. But as far as the SCA is concerned, we don't officially exist.
Okay. I wish I'd have known about that little trick early on.
Well, and there's payoffs for both sides of that, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But because a lot of, depending on which campus you are and what student group is really, are the students pushing for the student group, or are we using it as a place for recruitment of younger people? Both have their place and both kind of intertwine and work together. One of the biggest things about starting something on a college campus, as you were saying earlier, Fergie, is that you have to get a hold of whatever the rules, whether it be the club's handbook or even just the student government body, because that's your bread and butter, that's your support, because the campus is going to want to know what are you doing for our campus because we're
Mhm.
doing this for you. And
Yeah.
those sorts of things are just strong relationships built. Um, and those can pay off very well for both sides. It's really important to get your campus's buy-in because if the campus doesn't want you there, you will not be there very long.
No, you will not. Actually, it falls into, for St. Felix, for example, we actually have a fighter practice on campus. To do that, every semester we have to submit a weapons exemption so that we're covered by insurance, so that we can show them that we've got our own insurance, but we'll add you on as a co-signer to the insurance, so the university as a person is protected, and we'll also get approval from the provost, the chief of police, and there's one more. Oh, the dean of students, and they have to say yes all the way across. All three of them have to say yes, or we're closed for business. So thankfully, we've been able to. It used to be once a year, but now it's uh, it's once every semester. So we have it twice a year, and we found that it's best to get it done early so that you can get the basically fall in line with when the classes start, and then you can have your demos out on the mall or your club fairs and draw people in that way and show them what's going on and how it's rigged up.
And each college campus is going to work a little differently, depending on
Absolutely.
state laws, depending on university policy. Is it a private institution? Those things all play into it.
Hmm.
So finding somebody on campus that, as I said, student government's always a good place to go, and also deans of student life are great because those are going to be the people that want to build communities.
Hmm.
And with any SCA group, whether it be college or not, that's what we really want to do is create a community so that we're a part of it. In some of the places I've worked, we would have the SCA group come out and, if they were doing a fundraiser, we would take a day on the fundraiser, whether it be gift wrapping or whatever they chose to do. And in turn, when we had a demo, they plastered it all over the student board so that they knew we were doing something.
Hmm.
Just working hand in hand, building those communities, building those ties so that you become a part of the campus and stay a part of it.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, if you are lucky enough to have a member of your local SCA group who works on a university campus, that is often your easy in because
Hmm.
that's someone who is familiar with that university's policies, who is a then known quantity to your university police force, to the administrators, who is someone who is trusted, who can introduce themselves as, hello, I'm so and so, I work in X department, I'm part of a nonprofit educational organization, and they can act as a liaison. We did not, for our group, we did not set up an on-campus combat. We did do some combat demos. The
Hmm.
first year we did it, we only did rattan. We did not do rapier because it was easier to clear rattan through campus police
Hmm.
because the weapons didn't look like steel weaponry.
Hmm.
Uh, the second year we did that demo, we reached out to campus police earlier and we were able to clear the steel weaponry in addition to the rattan weaponry. But in that case, I was working on campus. We reached out to campus police early, and I was an armored combat marshal, in addition to being a chatelaine and a herald. So we were able to set up stanchions. We were able to set up a list field that was blocked off. I was able to explain all of the safety standards. And so having someone who was articulate about the safety standards and who was also known as a campus person made a big difference.
Mhm. I definitely agree with that. I, at the time, and still am, hopefully still, an employee at the University of Arizona. And like I said, I started off as the seneschal of the College of St. Felix, and then I was seneschal / advisor until I could get somebody to step in as seneschal. Now that may work for a another group or something like that, but the U of A, they were like, "You're doing what? You're doing what?" They wanted to know, so I had to get somebody separate in that position. So how do you keep the groups going? Um, the way that St. Felix has kept going over the years is due to baronial involvement. They basically, I went to I went to certain individuals and made a deal. And well, I was going to hold this off till later because it's a good story, but basically, I cheated. Okay. You've got the whole split personality of a college versus an SCA college group. Okay. And you meet them at the admin building, for want of a better term, for the college itself. So what you need is to build a sense of community right away and make it to where they are involved in it. How do you do this? You go to the king and queen who are friends of yours and say, here's a treaty of St. Felix that says that into perpetuity, the barony and the king of Vatenveld, or the barony of Triscadere and the kingdom of Vatenveld, will do whatever is in their power, and this was underlined on there, to make sure that this group stays into perpetuity. I had the king sign it, I had the queen sign it, I had the baron sign it, I had the baroness sign it, and every semester we have kids that come in new to the group and they sign it. And they have a piece of living history that when they roll this out, it's got the names of all the previous people that have been in there. And I can tell you now, the page that we've got is about 1 yard by about 2 yards, and it's almost completely full because a lot of happens in 24 years. So you've got that history of all the people on there, and they'll say like, Fergus, who's this person right here? Oh, this person is such and such. They did this right here, and they did this right here. And I try and pass on the history of the group as much as possible. And every time we have our annual event, everybody signs it. Everybody's part of it. It goes from there. Victoria, you're going to be signing it next time. Don't say anything. So, but that's another story entirely. But that's how we did it.
And
So one of the things for our group
Mhm.
that has made a difference. So we've done 2 different sorts of demos.
Mhm.
One of them has been an every other year, sort of very traditional SCA demo where we bring in people from the barony and we do a combat demo where we show pieces of SCA things. And we've tied it into the university's Geek Week, where they have a whole bunch of events over the course of a week in March that are sort of geeky themed. And they do laser tag, and they have a replica TARDIS that they have in the lobby that they have photos taken in front of. And so we actually have pictures of all of our people in garb as if we've just come out of the TARDIS, from the demos that we've done on those weeks. And they let us have the atrium where there's this giant staircase and 3 stories up, and we set ourselves up in that atrium. And so we get a lot of exposure from that demo, but we don't get a lot of turnover in terms of membership. But we do get a lot of exposure from that demo, and so it is worth it to us, because it gives us a good name with student involvement. They like to have that very showy demo, and they're willing to have us, they're willing to give us money and give us food and drinks and those kinds of things for this event. The event that actually gives us membership that turns into people coming in is the Fall Involvement Fair, which is where all of the clubs for the entire university come in and and show off what they're doing. And the year that we did best was the year right after the 50-year celebration. And North Shield had made a whole bunch of our Moneyers Guild had made a whole bunch of coins commemorating the 50-year celebration. And we had a bunch of them left over, and my crown sent me with a bag of a few hundred of them. And we had a little miniature trebuchet, which is always a hit. And since it was in this big outdoor space on the lawn, we were able to fire little paper balls, and the groups that were around us were also geeky enough that they didn't mind that we sent, paper balls flying. They would pitch them back to us, and they didn't hurt anybody because it was 2 crumpled sheets of paper. But I had these gold-looking struck coins, and I could offer them to passersby, coin from my queen, and it was something they could take home that didn't cost us anything, that was unusual. And we got a lot of turnout from that particular involvement fair, from these Moneyers Guild coins. We get a lot of return people. We do weekly meetings in the student union. Sometimes we have A&S projects. Sometimes we have sort of lecture conversations about various SCA topics. But we meet weekly in the union, starting late afternoon, sometimes going all the way into the evening. It's changed based on sort of the student demographic, whether they've got a whole bunch of other interests or whether they're doing this. It was one geeky thing and a bunch of other geeky things. But that coin from my queen was a surprising grab for people.
Yeah, it establishes a sense of community within the group, which is what my Treaty of St. Felix did too, and able to carry on the concept of hey, we're a family, we're a group, we live, we learn, we grow. So I love Geek Week. I'm going to suggest that to my student council right there. Because I'm pretty sure that'll get lots of traction. But yeah, it's a group can be made if you're able to put in the time and the effort. But you got to make sure to get it covered. So basically, a successful college group is one that lasts, is the main thing. And so far, we've got 2 different ways of doing it, either as a household or as an actual college of group under SCA Capora rules and everything. But like we said, to review, they are a split personality and they do have to be treated as such. Otherwise, you run the risk of angering one of the other entities that you're part of. And whereas the thing with St. Felix is that, yes, it's an SCA group, but it's also University of Arizona club. Ergo, University of Arizona, they get top billing. It's not a question of whether or not we can do that or not, or say, haha, we're the SCA. No, they'll take away funding, they'll take away web pages, they'll take away basically all the community that we have at the University of Arizona, which is we can't do that and survive. So we have to err on the side of caution. And many a time we've had a new baron and baroness in the local barony who see it as their duty to, make sure that the college continues on, but they approach it from the SCA mindset. And you can't do that. You have to realize that there is a split personality between them. So, does anyone have any questions? Let's see. Otter, I gave you co-host. I don't know what else to do. Let's see. It's not letting me do anything other than record. Does anyone have any questions they want to throw to the chat?
While we're waiting for questions in the chat, I will make one other comment, which has to do with the financial end of things. One of the reasons that we left this as a household, as a guild, essentially within the barony, was to avoid having to deal with the finances end of things. The University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee gives student groups the option to not have a treasurer if they do not have any funds deposited with the university. And the rules for dealing with student group funds are particularly labyrinthine and onerous. And there isn't a lot of things that you can do between both SCA regulations and student group regulations with funds. And so it seemed easier to me, especially with high turnover and trying to reestablish a group that had lapsed, to not deal with the money issue, at least at first. And we've never found a reason to have to deal with the money issue. And so our student group does not have a treasurer. Our student group does not have a bank account with the university and never has. The handful of things we have needed to pay for events with Geek Week, student involvement has just paid for as part of the Geek Week budget, which has been lovely. Or, incidentals we've paid for as individuals for things. The various persons in the barony have donated fabric for students to make garb out of, have donated feast gear for people. So the barony has been supportive of the university group in that way, but not having to have a student handling money as they're joining a student group and not having that hurdle, that barrier to entry, has made it easier to find the required 4 officers to keep the student group afloat from semester to semester. And not having to deal with the funding and the money debates just makes everything lower key.
Yeah, the U of A, like I said, is different in that it's easier to have a college group because the U of A says that you can have a treasurer, which we call treasurer / exchequer for obvious reasons, but we can have our own bank account. And provided that, there are two signatories on the account, i.e. the president / seneschal and the treasurer / exchequer, as long as you have those two right there as a check and balance, they let you go with it. So, which actually matches with the SCA policy of the seneschal and the exchequer have to be the ones to sign off on the checks. So it actually works out pretty good. The only way that I think it's difficult is, again, as I mentioned before, the weapons exemption, which we have to do. We actually have, for one of better term, a term paper that we submit every semester that basically says, this is who we are, this is what we do, these are the weapons we use, this is how it works, this is how our insurance works, this is our insurance coverage, etc. And we just go from there. It's a hoop we've got to jump through, but we jump through it and try from there. So, does anyone have any questions that they want to type into the chat? Not seeing any. We can go ahead and end this and do just a group discussion if everybody's up for it.
One
Do you have anything to add, Beatrice?
One thing I will mention is if you don't have a strong buy-in generally from your local group, it can help, as with any time you're asking for volunteers, to go to individuals rather than put out a call generally, rather than saying, hey, is anyone available to teach a class for my student group? It can help to go to a specific person and say, Lady Jane, I know you're a scribe of some renown. Would you be willing to come and teach a scribal class for my college group? Lord Joe, I know you're a leather worker of some renown. Would you be willing to come and teach a beginning leatherworking class? And I've had a number of members of my barony who were willing to come and teach specific classes for the college group. I've had a scribe. I've had some costuming classes on tunic making, on hats, leatherworking class, a basic chainmail class. I've had a number of local experts from the barony who were willing to come and teach very specific skills. Someone who came and taught period gaming. And it turned out that some of my local students were really into period games and have started collecting tarot decks to play tarot and have started teaching it to other people at demos. So those kinds of things can have a far-reaching ripple effect. You don't even realize when you bring in those kinds of teachers.
Yeah, we do the same in St. Felix, where we have it where there's an arts time during fighter practice, so people can come out and do fighter practice and go from there. So with that, I'm probably going to end the recording and do an open discussion on this topic.